Good morning. It is May 1st, 2026, and we are making a special trip out to Route 66 for the 100th anniversary. So this weekend in Kingman, they do the fun run. They're doing some other 100-year celebration stuff. So we're going to do a little bit of Arizona Route 66. So the first day, it's Friday, May 1st, we're going to probably hit some Oatman. We're going to hit Kingman. We're going to see how far we can get down. I don't think we're going to go past Antares, but this is going to be our first day celebrating the route's 100-year anniversary. So come along and let's see what adventures and celebrations we can find celebrating the 100-year anniversary of Route 66.
Now let's see how well I remember it. Because this part is a real trick.
Oatman, 28 miles. It's so crazy because like how the rocks crack and stuff, they look
Like a wall?
yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like it's man-made. So hello, we are now on Oatman Road on the scenic historic Route 66. We saw our very first shield painted on the road. We're excited. We can't wait to get to Oatman. We're gonna see the donkeys. We're gonna see if they mug anybody because them donkeys are thugs. We've seen, you know, if you're walking around with a paper bag, they will rip it out of your hand thinking it's something yummy. So, I don't know.
Organized crime.
Yeah, it is. They're gang, I tell ya. If you ever watched our Lake Pleasant videos, them donkeys, they're crazy there too. So, we are on our way. We're excited, and we'll see you when we get there.
Just drive. Aware. Focused. Safe.
Feel the speed.
Secure location.
What? I'm trying to remember what they said in cars. I am speed. I'm fast. I am something. I don't know. I don't remember it all.
We're about to enter Sidewinder.
Stop. Wow.
Well, hello, fellas.
Hi. They're like, we're not moving.
Hello, fellas.
At least they left room for us to
Yeah.
get by.
I always notice something different each time I go on the road. I'm gonna do it.
Why? You don't think we can find parking over there?
Well, over where?
Like either on the road or down in the back?
No.
I mean, you can pay the $2 if you want. That's totally up to you.
No, we'll park down there. We'll walk up and we'll walk back.
There's a donkey. There's 2 donkeys. She's spraying him. Yeah, it's got to be a love-hate relationship because they are stubborn.
Yeah, that's what they're famous for.
You know, but you also know they're what bring in the tourists.
Those people are not speaking English.
There's some more donkeys there. And then the shadow.
Yeah.
So. Hello and welcome to Oatman, Arizona, the home of the burro, the wonderful stories, history, all part of Route 66. And we thought we would stop in and explore a little bit of Oatman today as part of our 100-year anniversary trip. I'm so excited. So it's a stop one. We're going to make a whole bunch of other stops throughout the day, but let's go check out all the things here in Oatman and maybe see some of them thug burros. I keep hearing them. They're here. Let's go. So we are inside the haunted mine at Oatman. Now, Oatman is known because it was originally a gold mine town. That's how it survived. That's how it was built. So Oatman was on the National Old Trails Highway. And so luckily, Route 66 followed a lot of those old trails, and it brought Oatman some new revenue. Now, because they had the tourists, they had the people who were driving, they needed gas, they needed snacks, they needed somewhere to stay. So it gave Oatman a second life, which is so amazing. So, as I said, in 1942, the mines closed, which made Oatman worry, like, how are we going to survive? However, because of Route 66, they were able to change gears and focus more on the people driving through and needing the things to help them stay alive as well as the town. Now in the 1953-54, because of the Sidewinder, it was very dangerous. It was a very scary part of Route 66. So they decided they would bypass the Sidewinder to make it a safer way for people to go, and a new alignment was arranged, which cut Oatman off from Route 66, which really made them struggle.
Thanks to Angel Delgadillo, we were able to save Route 66 and make it a historic route that put it back on the maps, which brought new life to Oatman. So we're so grateful for Route 66. So this is a very nice recreation of a mine, but it is a recreation. This is something that they put together for the tourists to come and see what it's like, how dark it is, how eerie it is inside of a mine back in the day. So as spooky as it is something they made for us to enjoy. Am I gonna escape? Oh no! So we've now made it to Oatman Hotel, where during Route 66, buildings like this were made to house people who were driving up and down Route 66 looking for someone to stay. One of the famous legends is Gable and Carole Lombard got married in Kingman and spent their honeymoon here in the Oatman Hotel. Upstairs, they have a room that's decorated to show you where they stayed that night. Wow, all the money on the walls is so amazing. That's some of the things that the tourists do is they'll sign their name and they nail it to the walls. So upstairs is the hotel, is the room. So this is the top story where they would have their hotel rooms. They had several, but according to the sign here, this was room 15. And there's a small window that you can look in and see it decorated.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
So we have a lot of places we want to see, so it's time for us to hit Route 66 on to the next stop. Let's go!
All right, so we've made it to Cool Springs, and some people say it's the real Radiator Springs. There is no real Radiator Springs. Radiator Springs is based off a number of spots along Route 66, but this is one of the cool stops that you can do on Route 66. It's in between Kingman and Oatman, and this is either the end of the Sidewinder or the beginning of the Sidewinder, depending which way you're going. And we just drove the Sidewinder twice. It's a stretch of road between here and Oatman. It's 8 miles long, and in those 8 miles you have 191 turns. Some of them are pretty crazy. There's some pretty interesting things about the history of the Sidewinder. When people, way back when this was just the road you used to get from the East Coast to the West Coast, or Chicago to the West Coast. It didn't go coast to coast, but this part of the road it was pretty notorious with all these turns and everything, and the drivers didn't want to do it because people were dying. So it gave rise to I guess you'd call it a cottage industry, where the locals that lived around here at the time, they would hire themselves out. People could hire a local to drive people's cars through Sitgreaves Pass. And what made it worse is a lot of the cars back then had gravity-fed gas tanks, so that the car had to be in a certain way for gas to get into the engine, so the car would run. So the way people would do it they would drive the car backwards through Sitgreaves Pass. But as you can imagine, that's even more difficult than driving it forward with no power steering in these big old cars. So the people that did this, the locals, they had to be incredible drivers, because they would do this all day long. I don't know how much, I have no idea how much they charge. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's just that it turned out it was a real thing. There was 2 alternative ways you could do it. You could hire a tow truck to tow your car through there. Keep in mind, there's nothing wrong with your car. You just don't want to drive it through Sitgreaves Pass. And if you've ever driven it, you can understand, if you had like a 1930s car with no power steering, big giant car with everything you own put in the car, that had to be a kind of a pain in the ass to do. So you hire somebody to drive your car up, forward, maybe backwards, or you could hire a tow truck, or you could there was a person that used a team of horses to tow your car by horsepower through Sitgreaves Pass. And that's pretty cool. And that's about it for right now for that.
Oh yes, you like the scritches? You like the scritches? You keep this place safe? The Cool Springs kitty? So I was just asking you much more about the locals that people would pay to drive their vehicles through Sitgreaves Pass, or now called the Sidewinder, and about the gravity-fed gas tanks and why they would have to go back.
Yes, I do. My name's Ned Lechner. I'm the owner and restorer of Cool Springs Station, which was built in 1925 and 1926. It was finished here in 1926. And it was built by a man named N.R. Dunton. And he had a service station in Gold Road, which is the gold mining town just up the road about 4 or 5 miles. And at that time, there was about 3,500 people that lived in Gold Road. And Mr. Dunton, one of their services, they used to sell gasoline and they used to sell water. And back in those days, gas was 19 cents a gallon and water was $1 a gallon. So I was told that's where they made the real money, is selling the water, not the gasoline. And because of the steep grades, the Model Ts, which was the main vehicle that would traverse this road, it was so steep and the gasoline wouldn't flow into it because it's gravity-fed gasoline into the engine, so they had to tow them backwards. And so that was the service that they provided. I don't know how much they charged, but I believe it was $2.50.
That's quite a bit for
a
those
trip.
days.
Yes, it was. And so that was a thriving gold mining town. And then just past Gold Road a couple miles is Oatman, which was another thriving gold mining town. And this is one of the largest gold mining districts in the United States. And so it's a very, very popular destination during the 1920s, 30s, and 40s.
Very cool. So how long have you owned Cool Springs?
I bought Cool Springs in the year 2000 from a lady named Nancy Shaner, whose family came to take care of their uncle who had owned the business since the 1930s here. And it was ruins when I bought it because it had burned down in 1966 and it sat dormant until 1990. And in 1990, Roland Emmerich, the movie producer, chose this site as one of the scenes for the movie Universal Soldier. And they rebuilt a makeshift station around the ruins that were here, and then at the end of the scene, they blew that to smithereens. 9 years later, I bought the property from Mrs. Shaner, and then we had to excavate for a year and a half, and then we began the rebuild, which took another 3.5 years. So it was completed in the year 2004. And we've had a gift shop and a museum here ever since. So it's kind of a pride and joy of mine, and I'm a hobbyist, historian it's just one of my hobbies. So.
Yeah, well, very cool. Thank you. We have stopped many times here. We do love it. We truly love Route 66, and we've almost traveled all of it. We have a little bit more to go, but
Great. Pleasure meeting you, and have a great journey.
Because, like I said, we have stopped here a number of times, and like I've done actually a lot of research about this. I've read about you a lot. So
I'm the guy. Yeah, people don't even believe it. There was a guy from Germany couldn't even believe it was me.
This is actually kind of cool. This is the guy. I've read about you a lot.
Yeah.
that's the guy. That's the guy.
So yeah, when I was a little kid, we used to go on vacation to the Wisconsin Dells. And we'd take an old state route, and I loved stopping at old gas stations and talking with the old timers at the gas stations. As a little kid, I loved old gas stations. And I collected motoring stickers when I was a little kid. And at that time, the guys that owned the old stations were from World War I, and their sons were World War II guys starting to take over.
Yeah.
And in 1974, with the oil embargo, self-service in those old-fashioned gas stations just disappeared overnight. And then you had self-service gas stations from 1977 on. So it's an era that was completely just disappeared. And when I found this site, I was out here looking at vacant lands, and I knew this was an old station. And I'm like, who owns this? What happened here? So it just intrigued me. And that's what started it all. And, and it took Nancy, the owner, Nancy Shaner, took her 4 years to agree to sell it to me.
Yeah, I remember hearing about this. She didn't want to do it first.
I called her in 1990. Yeah, the broker I was working with called her in 1997 and said, there's this guy named Ned from Chicago, and he wants to restore Cool Springs. And she said, well, you tell Ned we're not interested. I'm like, okay, it was a reaction I wasn't expecting. I said, well, let her cool down, call her in a few months. And then a few months go by. No, so it went on about 4 years. And back home, I had a chance to buy my great-grandparents' old house. And that weekend, Labor Day weekend 2000, I just signed a contract with a general contractor to restore my grandparents' old house. That's when she called and said, we're ready to sell you Cool Springs. I'm like, I don't have any money. I spent every dime I had to get that place. And I said, okay, I'll do it, And so somehow, some way, we figured out, we made it happen. So it hasn't been easy. And one of the hardest challenges I had was to bring power back over here. Because for the first 3 years, we had to use generators for all the work.
Okay.
So it took me 4 years to get the BLM to agree to put the power poles back across.
Oh, yeah, I guess they wouldn't want to do that, huh?
And, every time we'd go in there, they kind of slammed the door on us, and we had to do a desert tortoise study and all kinds of environmental studies, and it was still, nothing was moving. And when was it? 2003, Valentine's Day. The lady that worked at the BLM was kind of heavy set. And I bought the biggest box of chocolates you have ever seen, shaped like a heart, and put it on her desk. And the engineer came out that following Monday, you know, because they told me in the office she loved chocolate. So you know, sometimes a little kindness that goes a long way. So that began, that got it going, and so we had to pay and install the power poles back over. And in 2004, we had full power, and that's when we opened the gift shop. So.
Very cool. Well, thank you for talking to us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
all
Thanks
the
for coming.
information. Welcome back. We've made it to Antares Point, to the Giganticus Heticus, and we are here to see the new Guardian of the Road, right? Something Guardian. Guardian Angel? I have to look and see what it's called again. But we were here a few years ago, and they were talking about, they were putting it up, and we just have not had a chance to make it back. So we have now made it here. So we've learned a little bit more about Antares Point, and so Route 66 often followed the old trail highway, and the old trail highway follows the railroad. No, the railroad follows the old highway, the old trails highway. And so Route 66, when they came along, they just went ahead and kept following the already railroad bends. And they say that Antares has the longest turn in any highway. So I think they said it's about 2 miles. That's a continuous turn. It's not a sharp turn, but it's continuous. So it's a bit windy. We're gonna check out a few other things, and maybe I'll get some footage of inside, but we'll see you a little later.
Okay, so we are at Antares Point on Route 66, home of Giganticus Heticus.
And the Guardian.
Oh, that's right, the Guardian. I got some footage of that. I don't know if it'll be before this or after this, but last time we were here, that didn't even, I don't know if it existed and wasn't put up or just didn't exist at all. But anyway, now it is up. It's made out of scrap that he actually found on Route 66. It's pretty cool. The guy that made both, Greg Arnold, I believe his name is.
I think he does all the art here.
Yeah, I think so. He's a nice guy. Last time we met him was more casual. This time he's wearing a business jacket, but it's the 100-year anniversary. There's lots of people come by, and he's dressed nice and he looks nice. So he's a nice guy. You should come by and meet him. And the prices here, they're really good for like the gifts that you can get at Route 66.
Yes.
They can get a little pricey at some places, but this and there, their prices are really good. So I'll try to get some footage of it here. This curve here is supposedly the longest continuous curve on any U.S. highway, and it exists here on Route 66.
I think it's like 2 miles long.
Yeah, and I want to believe it's true. If everything's shaking, this is like Kingman area, Arizona. It's very windy here. Like you see me rush towards the camera, that's because it's falling over.
I know. I keep looking. I might look panicked in my eyes. I just keep watching it wiggle.
Hopefully everything's gonna be okay. So Antares Point. There's a lot of legends as to why it's named this, but no one's really sure. The story I heard was that some astronomer was out here and he could see, I guess I don't know anything about stars. He saw a red star, and there's a red star called Antares, and he could see it very clearly from here, so this became Antares Point. Is that true? I don't know. It was kind of a cool story. Yeah, I see that camera's shaking.
I know. It makes me so nervous.
It's my phone. I use it for work too, so but it's fairly stable.
And the old highway road, or old highway trails, the railroads followed, and therefore Route 66 followed. So that is one of the reasons why Antares Point is part of Route 66, because it was originally a railroad stop, correct?
Yeah. And on the other side, I'll get some footage of it. They've got, it was originally like, I think they're extended stay motels or long-term motels. It's just like 4 or 5 rooms. It's not a big venture. But last time we were here, they weren't, you couldn't stay there. They were still working on everything, but there are people staying there now. So I'll get footage, but I gotta be careful because I don't want to bug anybody. There's like literally people living, or they're renting rooms right now, staying there.
Ooh, that was a big gust.
All right, I think we're gonna cut this section off right now so it doesn't fall down, because that'd be bad. We're gonna get some more footage. We're gonna go back. We were at Oatman and then Cool Springs, and then we came out here at Antares Point. We're gonna go back to Kingman and finish up the day in Kingman, and then tomorrow we're gonna do some more.
That's kind of cute.
What?
The little red, the patriotic bracelets, and I think those are Kingman turquoise on them.
Indian. They didn't put down who did this one.
So one of the things that I have heard about, like during the Great Depression and people using Route 66 to make their way to California, was it would be very hot and the cars did not have radiators. They would use burlap bags kind of that would hold water in front, so that way as the air went through the bag it would cool and the steam would help keep the engines cool. But another thing that I heard they did was they would make camp during the day and they would try and stay in the shade, they would try and stay cool, and they would travel by night. That way the vehicles could stay cool longer. It wasn't as hot in the vehicles, because remember, they were taking everything they owned with them to try and find a better place during the Dust Bowl. As the Great Depression went on, some of the issues that these people were having is when they would get to the border of California, if they didn't already have a job or somewhere they were planning to live, they wouldn't let them cross the state line. They would not be allowed into California. They'd be told they have to go back to where they came from after they have already spent all their money and time getting there. And so I think that is one of the reasons why all the gas stations, the restaurants, the stores started popping up, is because either like their car broke down, like, oh hey, I guess we need to, this is where we stop, or going back, it's like, we saw that really great place, let's go and try and start there, are some of the reasons why Route 66 started becoming such a unique thing for the next stage in its life. Route 66 in the 40s and 50s, they had better cars, they had better ways, and they wanted to start traveling. And so with the Route 66, they were able to take the family vacations and they would go and see different places. They even had air conditioning in some cars. Well, I guess they were air coolers. But this gave way to people getting to enjoy what we now consider Route 66. Now, as cars got better and they didn't break down, they got better gas mileage, they didn't need to stop as often, they started having radiators, so the water wasn't a problem. And then the government decided, you know what, we can make an interstate. It would be faster, quicker, and even though it only saves maybe 20 minutes, in distance time, not, I guess if you were going slow with a bunch of people on a 2-lane road, it can get slow. But if you drove it now and somebody drove on the 40, I'm told it takes about 20 minutes difference. And when they made that bypass of all these little towns, Route 66 disappeared for a while until Angel had the idea to, people would stop by and they would tell them that they had those memories as kids. And they came up with the idea of, let's make this a historic route and get back on the map. So we're so glad it did.
desert light, red, white.
Hello. So we have found ourselves on the first Friday of the month in Kingman, Arizona. And it just happens to be that's when they have their First Fridays event, which is a downtown event where people set up booths and people come out and they eat, they visit. It's kind of like a marketplace kind of thing, but all sorts of different kinds of booths are here. So there's food, there's businesses, there's community projects, churches, everything you can think of under the sun is here. So we're just wandering around, we're checking it out, and you'll probably see some of what we see. So let's keep looking at stuff.
Keep looking at stuff.
Let's go.
66 USA. Ain't nothing more American than this.
I've signed you up for a plot, honey. Or did I just sign up for your murder?
Like a battle row, engines ticking hot after miles ago. Classic Chevys, Fords, and a Pontiac growl. Six-string scream and a midnight howl. From dusty towns to the open plains, this whole damn road runs through our name. Stand up tall, take a stand. This is our road. This is our land. Route 66, USA. Ride all night, raise hell all day. Route 66, USA. Freedom rolls the American way. Balls, bikes, rock and roll. Gasoline running through our souls. Route 66, USA. Ain't nothing more American. Won't back down. For the loud, the proud, the highway bound. For every small town bar and every worn out sign. For every hard-earned mile and county line. For every old guitar and every engine scream. For every busted knuckle still chasing the dream.